So if it's not Thanksgiving, it's Black Friday. If it's not Black Friday, it's Cyber Monday. If it's not Cyber Monday, it's Christmas. If it's not Christmas, it's New Year's. Then there's Valentine's Day. It never stops. It never stops. And all the while, all of these are opportunities for you to spend money, not make money. This is another episode of Rolls Royce Diaries. It's another episode of Rolls Royce Diaries. Okay? Talk to me nice. There's a lot of sun out here, so I gotta move at an angle. I created the CRM, Credit Restoration Microwave. $2,000. $2,000 gets you access to 100 grand in credit. It's your legal right. People say, man, I don't know, that sounds wild. That sounds crazy. How could that even be so? I did a video breaking down the multiple forms of fraud that takes place in the system. I'm afraid to talk about those things again, like how paper money's fraudulent, the school system's fraudulent. I was going in. Those of you that saw it on IG, video went viral. That video did 230,000 in its 35th hour, and then it was taken down off of Instagram. They said that it was a violation of their guidelines because I was breaking down how money used to be called paper certificates, or used to have certificate on it instead of legal tender for all debts, public and private, as opposed to it being a Federal Reserve note, and breaking down how what is a certificate or what is a security. A security is a paper certificate that attests to ownership and equity, as in the case of a stock, or ownership of a bond, as in the case of a debt obligation which has tradable derivatives. And I was breaking down the House Joint Resolution March 9th, 1933, where they started enforcing bills of exchange, and Congress no longer passed laws, and they took the gold and the silver from the people. So before you was able to turn in your $100 gold certificate and get $100 worth of gold in exchange, because you wouldn't want to walk around with that gold, no, because you cut a piece of that gold to buy you a piece of bread or some chips. So you had a certificate that attests to ownership and equity. So you was able also to put your $10 silver certificate into the bank and get $10 in silver back in exchange. But today we have paper money and we can't get nothing back in exchange. I also talked about the legal aid gets paid for you pleading guilty, as opposed to if you're proven innocent, get paid over $10,000. I also talked about the C-sections that they do in the hospital, where the doctors get paid over $17,000 to $30,000+ for unnatural births, cutting the belly open. And it was imperative to realize that there's a lot of unnecessary C-sections taking place, because if the incentive is we'll pay you tens of thousands of dollars more for guilty pleas, or tens of thousands of dollars more for unnatural births, let's say the doctor or the court-appointed attorney is behind in money, what do you suppose they might do when they're lacking in money? What do you suppose they might do? I'll tell you what they do. If they're lacking in money, we're going to get these guilty pleas together. Or if they're lacking in money, we're going to do a bunch of unnecessary C-sections or unnecessary unnatural births. So I went over a lot of stuff. I was talking about how the school system changes the books in colleges, so that way people can't share the books, so they can keep charging for books. So every year and a half, 2 years, they keep switching the books up, so that way the next generation that come behind the generation that was in front of them, they won't be able to have access to the same reading material, because they switch up the curriculum basically to make sure you can keep buying. But I don't want to go into as many. I went through quite a bit. I went into mortgage fraud. I went through quite a bit to just break down all the fraudulent activity that takes place in America, simply to say, hey, and abroad, simply to say the whole system's based on fraud. But like I said, that video did almost 250,000 views in 30-something hours, and took it down to get a strike. And what people don't understand is when they see me putting up videos and the credit restoration, $2,000, you get access to 100 grand, plus we boost your credit scores. Keep in mind, some of you may say, I already have good credit, but the way we get access to the 100 grand is by sending compendiums and affidavits of facts, namely, not limited to over 30 bureaus. So most of us only know about TransUnion, Equifax, and FICO, but we don't really know about the various or the 30+ bureaus that actually exist. And when you meet the proper credit protocol or criteria, you have the right to access 6 figures and up. So, but anyway, Separate from that, you go to brotherpolite45@gmail.com. You leave your full name and your phone number when you're ready to purchase it. This is the New Year's. Don't spend all your money on things that's not going to make you money back. So a big part of these holidays is fraudulent too, because if you're not